All right, good Saturday morning, everybody. Time for another episode of Hobby Hotline, episode 267 to be exact. And happy to be joined on today's program. To my right on the screen, I think it's been a couple months since we've seen her on this show. Erica from Love What You Collect. Welcome back. Glad to see you on the program again. And someone we can't see, he hasn't been gone a couple months from the show, but having some video difficulties. It happens. Uncle Rich Klein here on the
Well,
bottom
last
of the
month you got
screen
to
as
see boxes. This month you get to see backward writing. I'll see what I can come up for next month.
there's probably some people that are glad about it, and then other people are like, why can't you figure it out, Rich? But
Well, most people would say,
so
"Why can't you figure it out?" On the other hand, next time I'll just post a picture of Taylor Swift and Jason Kelce together for you.
well, I'm gonna make your day here in probably like a minute or two. We'll start out with that with topic. Rich knows it's not my favorite one, but we got to cover it, right? Sometimes we got to talk about stuff that we not may not be fond of and that sort of thing. So it will be a heavy tops fanatics kind of show with a lot of the news coming out from there. So, but let's start with that, Erica and Rich. With it's it's making hobby news. It's making regular news. I don't really get it per se, but it's not up to me to get. And I'll put this on the screen real quick. There you go. Better looking than Rich, I agree, and me for that matter. But the whole, I don't know if we would, the Taylor Kelce or the Swift Kelce. Apparently they're dating. She's going to the next game as well as the last one, and we've seen, you know, Travis Kelce jerseys. I think are up 400%, and even been uh, there's even been a little uptick on Kelsey's cards. Now, my take on this, uh, Erica and Rich, is like if you're gonna buy Travis Kelce cards, I not a bad buy. He's probably the best tight end in the NFL. But I mean, what difference does who he's dating make on his cards? That's my sort of take on it. I don't really get the phenomenon. I guess people are saying a lot of Taylor Swift's fans are, because of the relationship, are buying a Kelsey jersey or some cards. I don't know if you're not in the hobby and you're a Taylor Swift fan, are you buying Travis Kelce cards? That seems odd to me, but again, I'm already in the hobby, so it's hard for me to decipher that. I don't know who wants to go first here, Erica or Rich. Kind of your thoughts on this.
Erica, go first.
Oh,
Your
thank you.
thoughts on its effect.
My thoughts on it, personally, I don't care. I think that people should have their privacy, but I don't think it's going to really have an effect on the hobby per se. I think speculation and people who do a lot of selling or flipping or moving of cards will use it as a talking point to stir up more movement for cards. I think that's what the case is, but I don't see anyone in the hobby saying I want to purchase a card because of this transaction. And as far as the demographic outside of it, Taylor Swift fan base, I don't see them entering the hobby or really being curious about the hobby in terms of his cards, or even her cards to that magnitude, because typically fan bases like that for Taylor or Beyonce, they are experiential. They want to listen to the music, they want to go to the concerts, they want to talk to their friends about it. It's not about, I want to collect Taylor Swift autographs, because from the limited research I did, her autographs don't even resell for much for hers. So I can't imagine that would translate to someone she's dating, selling for more.
I
Yeah,
just I just look at this in terms of if I'm a store owner, or a hobby seller, and I do shows. I got one next week. I don't have any Kelce rookie cards. I have a couple Kelce cards, not very many. But if I'm really paying attention, a lot of times a significant other comes with, or a younger sister who doesn't care about cards necessarily will come to a card show or will be dragged to the card shop. And if I can post something there to interest them, I can maybe make another sale. It's like, do you want fries with that?
Good point.
It's the way of selling more items. And I'm just thinking of this strictly on a business perspective.
Mm-hmm.
I know in our group chat, I think Drew posted something about how hot some graded card was of his, or how hot the cards were. But my point is, I'm just thinking as a seller that I can maybe, and if I boost the hobby by 0.5% doing this, then that's fine. That's still getting more people into the business, into the hobby, into collecting. And that's perfect. And that's perfectly fine. Whatever, it works. And then if they start thinking, wait a second, there's other cards. If I'm in Kansas City, cool. He's dating. Look, I like the Chiefs too. I never realized I could get all these cards of Patrick Mahomes or the other players on the Chiefs. So to me, if you think about it on a business positive aspect, it's a good thing for store owners and show dealers to at least try to attract a wider audience. I know back in my Beckett days, that was always one of our things. How do you attract a wider audience? This is a gimme.
Yeah, Rich, but this is not set up. This isn't like Fanatics saying, hey, Taylor, we want you to date an NFL player, pick one. It just happened, excuse me, naturally. So, but I mean, Rich, do you think there's a lot of people coming into the hobby because of this?
No, I don't. No, I'm not even thinking people are coming into the hobby. I'm saying the ones that are coming to the shows or the stores that get dragged along by mommy and daddy or their older brother or older sister, whoever, who are collecting cards. Oh, look, there's that guy who's dating, the Swiftie seats. Oh, there's that guy who's dating Taylor Swift. Oh, there are cards of him. Yeah, I've got the jersey. Now let me get a card to go with it. And it's not that expensive. I mean, what are the cards going to be? 25, 50 cents, $1? It's an add-on to, as I said, do you want fries with that? Do you want to supersize your fries? Do you want a large drink? Do you want dessert? Do you want an appetizer? All the questions that are asked. It's just a way of subtly increasing. And maybe, as I said, it's a small increase. I'm not saying people are going to the card store specifically for that. What I'm saying is that the effect can be if you market it properly. I would love to hear, if we're on the big store, if we're on the big show, the big stream with Rex, I'd love to see what Rex has to say, whether he's done anything with that.
Yeah, if he's listening and he wants to comment or even come on, we'll obviously correspond with that. Here's a comment from TJ is online. My 10-year-old daughter is telling me the Swifties don't necessarily like Kelce. They think he fights with teammates too much and not cool enough like older pro Jason. Yeah, I don't know.
And also,
yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Eric.
I didn't mean to cut you off. It was a comment by, I think, Philly's. I forgot the rest of his name, but he mentioned that it won't affect cards. It affects jerseys. That comment right there, jerseys. Yes, I totally agree with him on that. I totally agree. Jersey sales, you will see a spike because, like I said, jerseys are part of the experience. What people put on typically is for other people to see. So that goes along with the experiential piece. So fully agree with that comment.
By the way, can I ask Haley why he wants a smaller hobby? We want a bigger. Don't we want a bigger hobby? Don't we want more people collecting cards?
Yes, of course, but that's not. But of course, but I'm not saying, I'm not making my comments or the way I think about the situation to to keep the hobby smaller, not grow it. I'm just being very realistic, you know. Like at the end of the day, people will pay X amount of money to see Taylor or whoever or Beyonce, and and sacrifice a lot for that. But for an item like a card, I don't even think that they won't even have a conversation about that, you know. And that's what makes collecting sports cards special, because we have a genuine love for what we love to do. And it's okay, not everybody likes it or not everybody gets it. Not everybody likes to wear sneakers. Some people like to wear sandals. Like, so that's how I view it.
No, and you're right, Eric. It is what it is, right? The market will dictate. If someone wants to buy a Travis Kelce card because they love Taylor Swift, they're going to do it, regardless of whether I think it's goofy or I don't get it. It's not for me to get. And you're right. In the commenter there, I think it was I forget who it was, but you know, the jersey sales have increased 400%. That's a stat. That's not like an opinion. That's coming from the manufacturer side. So it definitely is having an effect as far as jersey sales. You know, you probably go to the next Taylor Swift concert, whenever that might be. I'm guessing you're probably going to see some folks wearing Kelce jerseys in the audience attending the show. If not only maybe just to get Taylor's attention, or look at me, I'm wearing Travis's jersey type of deal. You know, we're not. That's a dating aspect. You know, we're seeing an effect even with Deion Sanders, who's now coaching the Colorado Buffaloes. Had some early success. Lost last game. He's not going to go undefeated. I think we all kind of knew that. But Deion's never shy. Kind of speaks his mind. He's still a Hall of Famer. Like, nothing's changed. He didn't get another interception, but now with his coaching success at the Division I level at Colorado, his cards have noticed an uptick in value, especially on the rookie side. So that's always sort of how it's been. You know, if a celebrity or an athlete makes news, their cards usually, especially if it's positive news, their cards usually have an uptick.
I will
If it's
also
the opposite,
point out that the University of Colorado has a team set now. You can order directly from them. I believe 1 in every 10 packets or sets you order has an autographed card in it too.
yeah.
I mean, they are taking
and
full advantage of the new NIL rules, and thankfully, you can do that now. And that, you know, I'm glad to see, and I suspect more colleges will be issuing more cards, and that's a good thing. That's something where, you know, John, you went to, I know you live in Syracuse. Did you also go to Syracuse?
no, but I do Uber on Syracuse. Do I get like an honorary degree?
Yep.
No, I'm just
Yes,
kidding.
you do.
Okay, but Syracuse basketball, I mean, they've won a national title in basketball. They've had a lot of pro players come out of the program. They have a legendary basketball coach in Jim Boeheim. Their football team has produced some NFL players, you know, some good ones too. And therefore, you know, a set, you know, of yesterday and today of Syracuse players, I don't want to say I guarantee you, because, you know, if you guarantee, unless you're Joe Namath, it doesn't work. But I guarantee you that it would be very popular in the Seattle area, not Seattle area, in the Syracuse area.
Syracuse. And Rich, we've had sets done here before. You know, Dunkin' Donuts did a set, like local bank. And I'm even talking before the NIL days. You know, for the national championship, thank you, Carmelo Anthony, for that in his 1 year here before moving on to the Denver Nuggets and the NBA. There were sets pertaining to that championship and all that good stuff. So even pre-NIL, Rich, there's always been college-related sets. A lot of times limited, produced limitly, so not a bad pickup when in terms of the amount made. Sometimes they're mass-produced as well. It's funny with college sets or releases; they fall in one or two categories: short printed, or the presses never stopped, but nothing nothing in between, right? There's, so yeah, I mean, the NIL is changing the game though, because you're seeing cards of kids in middle school, just in high school, ninth and 10th grade, signing to deals. Even locally, we're seeing commercials with high school athletes here. I'm sure that's happening elsewhere as well. And good for them, I guess, to sort of reap the rewards of their talents. You can never argue with that, right? And and I don't want to make this a sports show. My problem with the NIL is just the guys that just transfer out of a school because they didn't start or they didn't play as much as they liked, and they just jump ship, and it becomes like it's free agency on the sports side at the college level now. And to me, it's even more active than like on the major league levels with free agency. So, but that's a whole nother show in itself. So, before we move on to the next, anything we want to wrap up as far as celebrity effect? I'll just say I don't get it, but it doesn't matter that I don't get it. If it
And
someone
I'll just
else wants to
reiterate,
do.
thinking as a business person, trying incrementally to increase sales, I'm all for that. I'm all for anything I can display in a showcase, even if it's for a week, that may increase my sales as a store owner or a show dealer. It is fine. You have to understand, you may not always like it. You may not like seeing photos of Ms. Swift. You may not like seeing photos of Jason Kelce. You may be a team like a Raiders fan that can't stand the Chiefs. But if you just think about it on a business level, that's the key.
Yeah, my goal is like I want people to stay in the hobby long term. I don't want people to buy a couple Kelsey cards, then if and when they break up, they're like throw them
Mhm.
away or they get tossed in a drawer somewhere. I'm looking for the long term. Maybe that's selfish of me because I've been doing this since 7 years old, and that was a long time ago. But I'd rather someone be in this for the long game than the short one. So hey, listen, if a Taylor Swift fan gets in the hobby because of Travis Kelce and enjoys it, and it becomes even something bigger where they're just collecting other things and other people or whatever, that's I'm all for that. Whether I'm
Yep.
all for it or not, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. But that I would like to see more than just be about one person. And maybe they get married, maybe they she's just another rung. She's had a pretty good dating career. If you look at
You mean
if there were
another
stats,
notch in her lipstick case?
yeah, if there were stats on the back of her card, she's got some good stats.
But
So
but that's my point, John. I also started when I was 7 years old, and I'm a little bit
yeah,
younger than you.
I know that.
I mean, you can't see my face, but I can tell you I'm younger than you. But all kidding aside on that, as I said, if it draws, and I know that there are some people who think, okay, we need to attack all these topics. This is a wider audience topic, and there is nothing wrong with discussing things like this. There's going to be a lot of people discussing, as you've posted on the bottom of the screen, the Topps one of one snafu, of which they posted a statement last night. And we will talk about that. But there's nothing wrong with a wider audience topic. We don't have to have every topic be the heavy hobby topics. There can be fun topics along the way. Just like last week when you were on with Dr. Jim and you talked about what you did for the founder of a hobby's gravesite, and you cleaned it up and you cleaned his parents' gravesite up and it looks presentable, and you're going to do some more work as you can before the winter gets too much, and then you'll do some in the spring. That's a wider audience story. There is nothing wrong with that.
I know, and it just it's one of those things. I just maybe it's just the I don't know. I don't even like the word purist. Maybe it's the old school guy in me that just wants people to collect because they love the hobby, not particularly a singer or who's dating the singer in this case. But to each their own, as the cliche goes. So Rex is in the building, as he says. You're on the big screen at the shop. I don't know if you heard Rex. Rich is asking you, have you noticed any of the Kelce Swift effect? If you want to type in there, uh, you know, your take on the commercial, on the the retail side of the house, especially on the cards front. All right, Erica and Rich. I think I've talked more about Taylor Swift than I ever have before, and she's a great singer, and not against that. But let's get into more like true hobby stuff. I'll call it that. And many have heard now the Topps 101 Snafus 2023 Bowman Chrome, the Superfractors, which they're supposed to be. Obviously, one card of. People were comparing notes, and hey, there's another one of my 101, and so has it too. And word got out there, and Topps admitted to multiple printings of these 101 Superfractors. They apologized. Let me put up the statement that they released yesterday, right here. And they basically, apologized, said some mistakes were made, and that they should not happen in the future. And then they are buying them back. They're buying the confirmed extras back to make 101s truly 101 again. Some of the prices, Erica and Rich, on the buybacks vary based on the players' kind of prospect sort of ranking. So some of the higher prospects that they double printed these Superfractors, they're paying upwards of $75,000 to the person to turn that card in, and I'm assuming destroy it. Others range, so it goes from 3,000 to 75,000 depending on player, which brings up an interesting point. If you have the $75,000 double printed Superfractor, you're probably going to turn it in and get your $75,000. But if you have that $3,000 double printed Superfractor, the thought might enter your mind, hey, like, I'm going to keep this. There's a story behind this card that to me might not be worth that $3,000. And so it's going to be interesting to see who turns in. If they get all of them, the chances are they're not, product doesn't get open. People will buy a wax box and not open them and keep them sealed. I've got a whole metal rack full of sealed wax boxes over there. So all of these probably will not see the light of day, at least initially. And so it's going to be interesting. My first take is, how does this happen? Right now, Topps in that apology statement said they've now installed protocols to ensure this is sort of a one mistake only. But we've seen this before. We've seen cards with the same serial number, like multiple, and not just with Topps. We've seen Panini do that as well. Let's spread the fairness, and the blame fairly. Erica, Rich, like, what do it bothers me more that it happened. Good on them to try to make it right. But your folks' thoughts.
Okay, I'll start. There's a couple things I want to say. One, this problem of serial numbering has been going on for time immemorial. I remember in 1998, and I actually knew one of the collectors involved in the time, there were two one-of-one Kevin Ory cards, and when he was a hotshot Cubs prospect. You know what happened? They figured it out. People were making mistakes in 1998. That was not deliberate to put two one-on-one Kevin Orys into something. It happens. People make mistakes. They're human beings. Because these cards, the way they're done, they have to be hand inserted. You may not realize when you're inserting them into the things that go into the packs. Hey, wait a second. I shouldn't have done two. I should have only done one. you may not even realize what you did. And so human beings still make mistakes. And we make mistakes. And, and if you do something to correct the mistake, that's really all I can ask for. And the other thing I want to say is we found out a lot of this. And this is and I'm going to say this is one of the advantages of and I'll put it in quotes, breaking culture. The fact that we have so many breakers and so much product gets broken and there are so many streams, lets you see what's going on in real time. And that actually is a positive. That's shining a light on this. And that's good for the hobby. People talk about breaking being bad. This is an example how breaking was good and you didn't see it get all dribbled out. You saw what the mistake was and you saw what the resolution will be. And it was because everything is out in the open. So I'm going to say this. Breaking shows that there are some real positive things to the breaks, including, hey, if something goes wrong, you can trace it in real time.
Good point. Definitely agree with you about the breaking, being a positive in this situation. It does suck for collectors, especially people really want to have a good so-called hit out of the box. But on the same token, I do think it was good that Topps addressed this issue and tried to make it right. So I think that's a good thing. But it still overall sucks because it's like you I know people make mistakes. People make mistakes. Businesses make mistakes. But at the same time, this seems like just laziness or just an organization. But at the same time, we understand that Fanatics is trying to figure everything out.
Well, having visited the printing press, you can get distracted doing that. I mean, when I took the tour as part of the industry summit when they had it in Dallas, and the printing press is literally down the street from my office. I could walk there if I want to really, in 95 degrees, walk about 1.25 miles. I can walk to the printing press. And they take great pride in doing things right. They're not happy about this either. So let me assure you that nobody likes mistakes and that they want to do a good job. And this is not a good job. And it's not a marketing ploy. It's an error. It's a human error, period, end of sentence.
Well, here's the other thing, Rich, and I'm not saying this. I believe this, but the thought has entered my mind. Here's a comment from Philly Joe. So this whole one-on-one issue was a marketing ploy. Throw stuff against the wall and see what sticks. Get people to open all boxes. Right? Let's be honest. It's definitely not going to hurt sales of the current product. Right now, you have a shot to pull out a one-on-one card that might net you, $10,000 that normally wouldn't be worth $10,000 other than the fact that they double printed them. There are people that believe that this was done intentionally to draw attention to this product, to get more people open it. The only thing I will say, I say that's possible, except that, in the world of breaking now, products sell out just naturally anyway. Did they really need to do that? Sure, it's drawing attention to it. We're talking about it today. It's all over social media. Besides here, it's probably the hottest topic at the moment. It's kind of. I'm not saying it's not possible. I just it's now they gotta pay out these bounties. That's going to cost them money too. When I think they were going to sell out of this product in some form of or another anyway, even with breakers just buying it all up to use in their brakes. So I'm not saying I believe it, but sure, the thought enters my mind that could this be an intentional thing to, drum attention, not so much sales, but drum attention to the product itself. And it's right before their store rip parties that they're scheduling. We're going to talk about that after this. But Rich, Erica, I mean, you think that you put any credence in that this is an intentional mess up to shine some light on a product?
John, anything is possible. Having said that, it's still a human error. And I'll say it's more of a human error. I don't think it's a publicity ploy. I mean, last year, for example, when those Chrome short print cards were missing from Topps Chrome, Topps came up with a solution, got the store owners involved. You got to redeem your Aaron Judge, I believe it was Paul Goldschmidt and Aaron Judge cards last year. They're going to do the same thing again this year. And at least this year, the MVPs, that promotion has already been announced. I mean, they are working actively. When there's a problem, they fix it. And to me, if you don't fix the problem, that's a bigger issue. They realize, hey, this is a screw up. Let's fix the problem. I mean, I guarantee you that cost them money last year to redeem those cards, for the store owners at $20 per card for the store owner. I mean, I know, how many, I don't know how many cards came in, but I know Rex posted last year. I think he got 17 those cards in the first hour he was open. When you could start the floodgates. I believe it was 17 cards in the first. And so it's okay. Making the mistakes are human. Fixing them, we have a car dealership in Dallas, and I remember reading this in Search of Excellence like 40 years ago. Hey, I want to sell you a good car, but if I sell you a lemon, then let me show you how I'm really going to work with you to fix all the problems to make sure you have a good car. They are fixing their problems. And I think we have to look at things positively, not negatively.
I disagree with you. I think we need to look at things in the reality of it. And the reality, we can't control if it's positive or negative. We're just looking at the facts or what's presented as facts or some types of evidence, so we can't control that. But I just think that we just have to deal with the reality of it. It sucks. I don't think that it was done on purpose or marketing, but hey, I wouldn't put it past people, but I don't believe that. And it's the reality. It's reality based. And a lot of this hobby does not look through the lens of reality. And that's what I always have a problem with, because it just leaves a lot of confusion and we just can't get on the same page to get anywhere to make this hobby truly better.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely, again, Topps are trying to make it right, but to make it right, you have to make it wrong first. And I think that, I don't want to paraphrase you, Erica, but I think that's sort of what you're saying, right? If you don't make it wrong first, you don't have to make it right. But mistakes, like Rich said, mistakes are going, and this won't be the last one. So let me get to some comments here. This is Rex answering our question from earlier. No effect on Kelce cards and memorabilia. So far, we did sell an autographed Taylor Swift CD a few months ago that we bought in a collection a few years ago. Mike Petty says, keep these cards. The extras are error cards. Don't give them back. Keep them with your Ripken double F. Dale Murphy, reverse negative, and Aurelio Rodriguez, Bat Boy cards. And, that's why I mentioned that. If I got one of the $3,000 bounty cards, I mean, what's that worth to keep it? Is potentially, not that it's about dollar signs only, but potentially that card might be, worth more than what the bounty is, depending on the player and what that bounty figure is. Rex on this says, I applaud the Topps attempt to resolve the problem. Not sure what else they could do at this point. Mistakes will happen. I guess they need to improve QC in the future. Here's my thing, Rich. Maybe you know more about this from the printers. The sheets that the cards are on are called forms. I'm going to assume, again, I don't know. I'm going to assume that all the 101s are on one sheet and then are cut. What happens to them? To me, I almost think someone should manually inspect the 101s, make sure there's one of one, that there's not two of them, and then have them distributed in the packs and in the boxes and in the cases. I don't know if that's happening that way. Do you know anything, Rich?
How cards are inserted manually?
Yeah. So, but that's
So
to me
that's what I'm saying. It's possible that you make them, and then if there's quality control issues, you may make two one of ones. So if somebody says my card came out of the pack all crinkly with creases, you send them the replacement. It's just that somebody didn't, between step one and step two, it was not done correctly. And that's what I mean by it's a human mistake. If there's nothing, card companies do keep replacement cards so they can fix cards that come out of the pack with 90-10 centering, or it's got a crease or bad corners, or something. So you make a replacement card. Somebody in this case may have gotten two of the cards and didn't realize they had two of the cards. You're not, it's not necessarily a hobby person. Remember putting those cards in. It's just, in fact, you don't want a hobby person putting those cards in. You want somebody who doesn't know about the hobby actually doing that work, so they don't keep the best cards for themselves. You actually want people not in the hobby to do that work. And as such, that's why I'm saying, in my opinion, it's just a human mistake. It's not a conspiracy. It's, as I pointed out with Kevin Ory, it happened in 1998. It happened in 98. It happened in 2001. It's happened with duplicate numbers all throughout history. This is just, as I said, because of the breaker culture, it was caught very quickly and it was shown what happened. And that's why I think, even though it's a mistake, it's a positive thing that, as Rex pointed out, Topps is doing good work in fixing the problem. It's not just that there's a problem, but it's that they're working on fixing it. I mean, think about how much extra money this costs. I mean, I understand the Fanatics is a huge company. They don't need, this may be a rounding error in terms of how much money they're worth. But they don't want to have to feel that they have to spend that money. They want to make profit. And this, whatever it is, cuts into the profit by whatever percent. And that's not something anybody wants.
Brody disagrees with you. He says, Rich, I disagree. They have the Babe Ruth promotion on their app, and this happened the day before their rip party. Timing
I disagree with Brody on this. I don't think it was deliberate. I really don't. I just think it's a pure error. I think it's a human mistake, human errors, and we understand. And they're trying to fix it. And that, to me, is the best part of the story. They're trying to fix the mistake. And I think the first one that was caught was the guy was buying these cards in two different breaks and got the duplicate card and realized something was up, and then somebody else caught it. And it's like, okay, now we know what happened. I am not making excuses. I'm just telling you it's a mistake.
Well, it obviously is a mistake. I guess it's debatable whether it's a mistake on purpose or a real mistake. I like to hope it's not on purpose. That and I don't see why they would have needed to do that. Very little product, especially on the chromium side, collects dust between breakers and personal rips, but it could draw attention. Mookie Chilson says I can only see 2 of the 3 hotline hosts. I would like my money back. Mookie, Rich is writing you a check. Just don't hold your breath on that there, but gotta have a little fun,
Well, last
Philly
time you
Joe,
saw boxes, I figured nobody liked the boxes, so a blank screen would be more fun.
Yeah, you got to figure out that you're gonna have to. Dr. Jim's got to come over there and like fix your stuff.
Now, Angela and Stefan have to come over to fix it.
There's somebody
as me on that part of it.
Yeah, Philly Joe, he's thinks it was done intentionally. Problem was done on purpose. It's called marketing. I'm not complaining. Again, try something and see if it works. 2 wrongs make a right, and I don't know. Anyway, it is what it is. We're talking about the product, which I'm sure Topps/Fanatics or Fanatics/Topps likes. You got the Babe Ruth promotion as well. So, D. Pierce says publicity costs money. Are we going to see mistake every fall from Fanatics? Well, if if this is something that sort of happens on a regular news cycle, Rich, then that's where we have to really, wonder, uh, you know, what's going on. It would be pretty bold to do this on a regular basis if it was intentional as well. So, and it is, Orlando says it's a human error. Printers are subcontractors. It's funny. I'm reading Mike Kramer's book, and they were one of the few, card manufacturers back when they existed that printed their own cards. I love to see, the current manufacturers do more of that, where that stuff's in house, where maybe this stuff, um, doesn't happen. Chris Ramsey asks, was there two or more people in charge of the one-on-one cards that made double cards by accident? Well, like you said, Rich, sometimes they make an extra one for replacements, and maybe it's those extra ones that somehow got in, packed out into the product. I guess my question is, how does that happen? It's a lack of communication, right? If me and Erica are in charge of the one-on-ones, and I'm, and I don't say, hey, all the one-on-ones good. You put them in the product, and she says, yep, they're good. And then I know those replacements. I just lock them up or whatever they do with them in case there is a damage. How do they get into the product, right? I think that's the mystery here that we'll probably never really know the exact answer unless, Topps Fanatics, says, hey, this is exactly what happened. So, we'll see. But anything, we're kind of wrapping up this, the rip parties today, I'm being told. So
Yeah.
timing, like some people have pointed to, is there.
Well, many stores are not just doing a rip party, but a trade night. And I know that and I send it out to my email list, and I know that there are many stores doing it. I know 3 within about 20 minutes of my house that are part of the rip party, and there are others in the DFW area as well. And 2 of the 3 are having trade nights that I know of, and the third, I don't think his store is set up well enough for a trade night. I don't think it's big enough for a trade night. And when I say 2 of the 3 stores, well, one is also part of a family of 5 stores. They're not all the same, but I call them the triple card family of stores, and there are people from all 5 of the stores that will come to the trade night or come to the rip party. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be fun, and I want to say that last month Topps had International Trading Card Day, where as long as you spend $10 on, cards with Topps, you got a free card, or you got the pack. And then I think there was a Mike Trout and an Adley Rutschman card. This month, it's the end of the month. This month they're doing the Topps Rip Party and the trade, and a lot of stores are doing trade night. I think we need to be thanking Topps Fanatics for doing more for dealers. They are really, ratcheting it up quite a bit. And I think, I want to look for positive things. And, we all like negativity. Trust me, nobody likes negativity more than the average person wants to hear, all these conspiracy theories. And they want to hear all these negativity. People love the negativity. But I think if we talk about, we alluded to Dr. Jim fixing my camera. Dr. Jim made a lot of money back in the day by running a magazine with superstar orientation and a positive tone. People actually like that.
Yeah. Question from Hobby News Daily. Is this the first time Topps has set second party market price of cards with the Bowman one-on-one bounties? As far as I'm aware, I don't know. They have the MVP buybacks and that sort of thing, but not where, first of my knowledge, where they made a mistake and they are buying their mistake back to make it right. Rich or Erica, have you heard this? Has this ever happened before on a mistake, not a planned buyback?
I'm not sure.
Rich?
I'm not sure either. And, it's they obviously studied the market to see what the values would be. So give them credit for trying to be fair. And John, I do agree with you on one thing is they're paying attention. They always paid attention to the marketplace. And they're looking at that market to say who's going to be the 3,000, who's going to be the 75,000 dollar player. And you're right. This is a chance where if you are lucky enough to have one of those cards, you do some due diligence research on prospecting and think, will this player do something? I mean, if it's a 26-year-old middle reliever and it's $3,000, you turn it in and you say, thank you very much, good night. But if it's a 20-year-old shortstop in single A hitting 20 homers that, is starting to crawl into the top 30 prospects for a team or starting to crawl in, then you say, I may want to keep that card. So you actually have to make a decision about doing your own prospecting before you decide what you want to do.
Hey, we got Ziggy in the green room. I'm going to bring him on here. Are you in, Ziggy?
Can you guys hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
how you doing?
Your audio. You're trying to match Rich. You're trying to match Rich.
Hey, he knows greatness when he sees it.
Well, I'm on the car too, so it'd be tough to see me driving. So, can you guys hear me?
What's
Can I
up?
talk? Okay, so
Yeah.
Two things I want to bring up. First of all, I want to give credit to the watchdog community, who I think brought a lot of attention to the 101 issue. I know cameras and breakers, right? But there were a lot of watchdogs, including Jeff Wilson, who came out on his show and brought a lot of attention. And I think that is something we should bring some light to, especially as content creators, that it was those content creators saying, hey, there's 101, hey, there's 2, hey, there's 4, hey, there's 5. Collectibles Guru, I think, started this whole thing, right? So I wanted to give a shout out to that. I think that was wonderful to see. My point about the first time that a card company set a secondary price, this is my understanding, and again, please correct me if I'm wrong. The reason they could do this is because the Players Association is now involved in Fanatics. Prior to that, Panini, Topps, Upper Deck could not give a bounty price like $75,000 for a superfractor, because they are therefore setting a bar, setting a market, and would therefore have to answer in their next contract to the players, hey, you sold one of my autographs for $75,000. What are you going to charge me for now? With the Players Association being involved, it gives them, Topps, the first time, the ability to do this. I think that's another major positive that we're seeing in the market, right? Topps can be responsive. They can give actual monetary value, not some subjective one, right? I think the criticism I give them is that having 2 101s potentially out there could be a problem. And they do have a timeout. This ends in March. So if those if 2 end up being out there, I know some people saying it's an error. It's more than an error. Imagine if there were 2 Mike Trouts out there. How would that impact the market if another box pops open and another Mike Trout 101 pops out, right? That sold for $3.5 million. So there's a lot going on here. So I want to bring those 2 points up. Shout out to the content creators who I think brought a lot of attention to this. And again, looking at these major changes, that somebody third-party market value because of the Players Association involvement. Again, correct me if I'm wrong, Rich, you might know more, but I don't think companies could ever come out and give a signature value. They had to give a product value, how much it costs to produce the product, not specific to the signature. I'll leave with that, guys. Thank you very much for the time.
Yeah, I don't think these are signed. I think these superfractors are just 101s. I don't think there's autographs on them. So I think that the price is being set by the player, where the player ranks on the prospect list. I would think so. Why would one player be worth 75,000 and another 3,000? I think it's by sort of their whether they're using Baseball America rankings, or I don't know how they're doing it, or that's an interesting question, is who's setting the prices. Why is one player $75K? I think the Salas guy from the Giants is $75K, and some others are $3,000. By the way, that Salas one's already been, that's a pending buyback at the $75,000 level. So, Ziggy, I don't think these cards are signed. I think they're just the sort of that gold refractor foil with the 101s. The problem is, as we all know, there's more than one of them, and they're trying to get those extras back off the market. So the question I'd love to ask Topps or someone that knows is why, how come it's just not, hey, we're buying these extras back at $10,000 each across the board, where there's now there's different price levels. That's a great question. Is why that's the case. Rich, you got it. You have any history on that, or is this sort of new
look,
territory?
this is the first time that I remember we've had scales of players being bought back. But I think they are. The people at Topps do know the secondary market. There are some people at Topps Fanatics that do know very well the secondary market, and so they're not going to make those decisions lightly. They're going to sit, figure out what it is. They know what cards are going to sell for, and then work from there. I have less of a, maybe I'm the weird one. Obviously this was not a great situation, but I have less of a problem with the solution than a lot of other people. It's a problem. They fixed it. They had a problem last year. They fixed it. Well, we used to always complain when Topps had problems and didn't fix it. Now that they're fixing problems, we're complaining about fixing the problems.
Well, I think we're complaining, Rich and Erica. I think we're complaining, and Erica mentioned this. I think we're complaining that there's the problems, right? I mean, if we don't make mistakes, and I know mistakes are going to happen, and it's going to happen again. But if we don't make the mistakes, you won't have to fix it. I think that's where some of the
John, we all want to be perfect. Nobody wants to make mistakes.
I get that, but I understand.
I mean, do you really think Topps is sitting? Do you really think Topps Fanatics are sitting in their corporate office and thinking about ways for these conspiracy theories? Come on, man. I mean, come on.
I don't know what they're talking about.
John, trust me. You talked about Mike Kramer earlier, and I remember when the Pacific football set came out, and it was rife with spelling errors. And I called Pacific. I actually spoke to Mike, and Mike was so upset that he had spelled Bubba Paris with 2 R's, and he had other mistakes because it was. And this is and they fixed almost everyone they could find because it is a sign of not good quality. And then you don't sit in a room and think, how can we screw this up? I mean, John, do you think that, I'm low on the totem pole, but I still work in the hobby. I work at ComC. Do you think people at ComC are thinking or are having meetings saying, how can we screw this up? Come on, man. I mean, let's be real.
No, but they should be having meetings like, how do we not screw this up? Let's do this the right way.
You assume it's not going to be screwed up, and then if it is a screw up, you fix it. That's why I don't have a real problem with this. I mean, and I'm glad it was caught. And as Ziggy said, I'm glad people such as even Jeff Wilson said this is a problem. And Jeff Wilson, I don't know if he's sponsored by Fanatics, but he's obviously been a very pro-Fanatics person. And that's fine. And my point is real simple. And I'm sorry, Erica. If you want to say something, please jump in.
Oh, you're good.
But my point is human beings make mistakes. They've made this is 25 years of people making mistakes on serial cards. I don't know if it's still extant, but we could probably find the Kevin Ory story from 98. People make mistakes. It's 25 years of serial numbered cards with 101s and actually 26 now, but 25 years of mistakes. It happens. They're not doing it deliberately. They're not sitting in corporate rooms saying, how can we do this? I mean, let's be realistic.
Well, we can't do that, Rich. We can't. It's probably a safe assumption that they're not doing it intentionally, but we can't say that with 100% certainty, right? We honestly can't. You'd like to hope not. That's a pretty dirty thing to do. But I don't know. I don't work at Fanatics /Topps, so I don't know what goes on behind closed doors. I sure as heck hope that you're right, Rich, but I can't bet my life or my house on it. You know what I mean? So you hope you do things above board in the right way, right? But one thing we all can agree, all three of us on the screen, and probably everybody in the chat room, right? Anytime there's and this is not just relegated to the hobby. Anytime there money can be made, people will do some crazy stuff to get it, and illegal stuff to get it, and borderline illegal stuff to get it.
I'm going to switch topics here for a second.
Okay, go ahead.
My
Go
wife's
ahead.
car, which is actually my car because I technically drive my wife's car and she technically drives my car, and it drives them crazy when we go for repairs because they text her when I bring what I'm now driving, and then they text me when her car comes in, which I'm driving, because when my car got totaled last year, I wrote the check for the down payment for what's now her car. Lovely world. Yeah, I get the old beat up car. She gets the new SUV. Great world. We got a recall notice. And they're not able to fix her car for 7 weeks. But the thing is, they sent out a recall note the minute they heard there was a problem. I got a recall notice the next day. I read something about the recall notice, I think on CNN. 8:30 in the morning, 11 o'clock, I get a recall notice. I tell my wife, make the appointment to get your car fixed. And they got her in 7 weeks later. I mean, it took that long. But the point
Richard,
is,
I don't think anyone's.
And I understand this is life threatening instead of baseball cards, but they're working. They know they have to fix the problem.
I got you, but and listen, no one's arguing or debating you that mistakes won't happen. They're going to happen again, and not just Fanatics, right? There's going to be other companies, other individuals that make mistakes. Couple comments as we sort of wind down. Corey Carr says it would be kind of cool to own both of those if it's your PC guy. Good story to go with it, right? He says don't sell it back, in my opinion, right? There's going to be they're not going to get all of these back, Rich and Eric, and it'll be interesting to see, what some of these that they don't get back might go for on the secondary market, and that sort of thing. So, let's see. Tom, White Sox Tom says Topps is printing so much stuff they don't know what's out there. That's possible. Now listen, Cooter Lev kind of disagrees with you, Rich. He says, in my opinion, this is not more than a marketing ploy to generate demand of the retail product. Card companies skip numbered, held cards back, created printing errors, and short printed to generate demand. Yeah, I mean, it's happened. It's happened before. Again, I don't know with 100% certainty what the case is here, either by accident or an accident on purpose. I can't say 100% certainty either way. And people are going to be entitled to their opinion. And we see a couple comments here in the chat that people generally believe this was an intentional mistake. Only Topps knows for sure. That's my point. And the other side of that coin, right? Orlando says, agree with Rich. I worked in marketing 40 years. This is a marketing nightmare, but they fixed it. They're trying to fix it. They're probably not going to be able to fix it because they're just not going to get all those cards back, right? Whether that they're still in the box, sealed and not seeing the light of day, or someone who gets it and says, you know what, for $3,000, I'm keeping this card. It's got a great story. I can post it on my social media every month and get some attention, and maybe somewhere, 5 years down the line, I can even sell it for more than $3,000 if that's what I want to do. So, it's I don't know, but it's the timing is interesting. I think we can all agree on that with the Rip Party, with the Babe Ruth promotion, and that thing, on that sort of stuff. The most that will ever be paid is this is from Jeremy Lee. Good morning, Jeremy. Is 95% is what Topps is offering. Yeah, I agree. But if $3,000 doesn't move your meter, you might keep one of those $3,000 level cards just with the story behind it and whatnot. So,
and by the way, if I'm a super collector, and there's been one player from my hometown that made the major leagues in baseball, and we've had one NFL player who's had a card. I don't think we've ever had a football or a basketball player from my hometown that's made the professional leagues. But and he played in the 50s and 60s, so we don't have the 101. But if I had the 101s, if there were 101s of this guy, and I had them, and I pulled them in whatever way, and I had them, I'd think long and hard if I was, quote, a super collector of this player, whether I would turn the cards in. I've got a great story. And, why would you turn it in if it's the $3,000 player? I don't think everybody's going to turn them in. And again, that's okay. There will be other people who say it's a 26-year-old middle reliever I got in this thing. Okay. Even if he makes the majors, it's not going to be much of an impact. Bye. Take the money and run. That certainly lets me buy a whole bunch of boxes.
Yeah, a couple comments here as we wind down. Jeremy again says the amounts they are offering are so high that it leads people to think it's a ploy. I agree, and that's my thing, Jeremy. That's why I'd love to know why Ethan Salas is $75,000 and that Texas Ranger prospect is $3,000. Is it as simple as, hey, Ethan Salas is a higher rated prospect, so it's gonna cost us more to pry that from someone who pulled that extra card? Maybe it is, but we don't know. That's what I'd love to know. And then Mookie says Fanatics is suing Panini for making the mistakes they just made. They would be foolish to intentionally pull a stunt like this. Yeah, I guess, I don't know. People, crazy stuff, can happen. All right, so we're about at the hour mark. Some great dialogue. Thank you to the chat room, very active as you see. Thank you, Ziggy, for linking on. That's it, open to everyone. Ziggy doesn't have a secret code. I posted in the chat room for anyone for future reference that wants to come on. Whether you're watching us and listening to us live, or downloading us on audio on every platform. We appreciate it. Just kind of to wrap up, Erica, what do you got going on hobby wise and life wise?
I've just been laying low, but hobby wise, like I haven't been like laying low. I haven't been going to shows or doing that stuff lately because I just haven't been feeling it. But today I am going to go to my LCS Wheelhouse, their new location, and go to their, I guess, Topps party thing or whatever. But I'm not going specifically for that, but going to support them with their new location in Westchester. So I'll be doing that today.
There you go. And that's the great thing about the hobby, right? Sometimes we all need a break. I've been there, and that's we can hit pause and then hit play when we're ready to resume. Other than fixing your camera today, Rich, what else?
Hey, I think people got to see the best part of me today.
There are some that are probably not disappointed, but I'll let them if they want to tell you that. But what's going on in Dallas way for
well,
Rich
as I mentioned, I'm going to one of the Topps rep parties / trade nights. At this store that they give us a lot of donations for our synagogue show. We used to have bags. Now I just sell them as bulk cards. So I support them. But I found out, I didn't realize what a promotion it was when I saw a couple pop up into my Facebook feed last week. I contacted a different Dallas dealer I knew who had a store, RJ Dukes in McKinney, and I sent him a Facebook message, and he sent me what he was doing. And he said, go to the Topps website, and he said, it's a big thing. And I said, oh, that's great. I love positive news. And I do like positive news. And I understand that there are some people who prefer negative news. We get that. But when we talked about Taylor Swift and Jason Kelce, and by the way, he and his brother do, from what I hear, a hilarious podcast. Erica, you're in Philly, so you probably get the other part of it. And that's positive news. And, we want to accentuate the positive whenever we can. And I know that, and that's why I accentuated the positive with the fact that the breakers, the fact that it was on screen, the fact that the problem got out immediately, it wasn't even a rumor. That's really a positive for the hobby. It showed that we can fix things. And that's to our credit that, people complain about breaking. This may never have been realized how serious this issue was without the breaking culture. So let's hear it for the good breakers out there that didn't hide stuff, that posted on the screen, that told people what they had. They weren't hiding their cards. They weren't, you hear about sometimes the breakers shuffling and hiding cards. They weren't hiding the one-on-ones. They were out there in the open. So this is a negative, but it's a big positive too. The problem's there. It was fixed. It's going to be fixed. It's good. It's bad publicity, but good publicity in fixing the problem. What do you do if you have a lemon? You make sure that you work extra hard to fix your customers' problems. Tops,
I tell you,
straight year of a problem. The Tops has done a great job of fixing the problem.
Yeah, I just like to see less problems. But I won't argue with you, Rich.
Less problems, John.
I get it. I get it.
Trust me. ID cards at ComC. I get frustrated when I see that I made a mistake. It happens, and I know my 50s and 60s cards, and I still make mistakes IDing cards.
Yeah, well, that's because of our old age, Rich. That's where that comes from. So. But all right. With that being said, thanks everybody. Erica, good to see you. Be
You
well.
too.
Have fun. Have fun today, Rich. Not good to not see you, and have fun as well today. We'll see you. I think we got a Tuesday show coming up. The first
Tuesday night show. We do have a Tuesday night show.
So there'll be Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, and then we'll be also back again on next Saturday as well. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.